Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here for this meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Before we get started, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Would everybody please rise? And Susie, would you lead us tonight?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence and remember those Marines who were killed in the airplane. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Sue. Hey, once again, welcome everyone who's in attendance here this evening, and thank you all at home for watching this meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Today's date is Wednesday, July 26, 2017, and tonight's Town Board meeting is a work session. And for the record, all Town Board members are present with us this evening, as is our Town Council, Greg Fulchetti, all the way down to my left, and we have in attendance tonight who's going to be speaking on agenda item number 1 is Bruce Walker, the Deputy County Executive for Putnam County. Bruce, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Kenny.
Hey, so the first item is the review of the Town Board minutes of June 28th and July 19th of 2017. So I need a motion to accept those.
No, you don't.
I'm sorry. Does anybody have any comment or questions on the minutes? Nope. No. Thank you, Frank. Okay, so Bruce Walker, once again, is here. He's the Deputy County Executive. This is discussion and really an overview of a feasibility study that is going to be undertaken regarding the Carmel to Somers sewer district. It would be a sewer main, but it would also would cause the creation of a new sewer district for the western side of the Route 6 corridor. So, yeah. Or extension, yeah. It could be extension of an existing. So, without any further ado, Bruce, you want to take it away?
Sure, thank you, Kenny. And thank you, the Town Board, for entertaining the discussion with this. And I really appreciate that when I sat in front of our legislature a couple weeks ago, there was a number of you in attendance to help support this initiative. So, as you know, Kenny, you and I both had several discussions and meetings with Senator Murphy and the county executive regarding the extension of utilizing the Heritage Hills sewer treatment plant to, bring a sewer line up to Route 6 and then all the way down to meet up with the existing sewer district down by the Wallowers on Route 6. So in an effort to further that discussion and really to enable us to, one, support the consolidated funding application that we made to the state for $1.6 million, we want to continue the progress that we've made through our discussions, and we're looking to do a feasibility, well, it's basically a facility study that would identify basically the number of parcels, what type of parcels are on that run, what we could expect from some of the physical constraints as well the engineering constraints. And in doing so, what we've done is allocated through Putnam County, which has to be approved at the legislature next week, but it's already gone through the Physical Services Committee, $50,000 to do that study. And we'll put together a task force comprised of your board and members that you choose, as well as myself and members of our planning department, in an effort to make sure we identify all things that would be necessary to go further in actually doing the further engineering or the actual construction of that work. But at this point, conceptually, I think we all fundamentally agree that it's possible, and it would open up a commercial corridor within the Route 6 area that we all know has tremendous possibilities given the traffic that goes through there. And what we're looking to do is really get the participation of your board in order to move forward and effectuate what we're trying to do.
Okay. All right. Great. Yeah, Bruce, I think it's a great initiative. I do, because right now, as you know, those properties along that Route 6 corridor do not have access to sewer, municipal sewer. And a lot of the properties that are along there cannot maximize the use of their land, of their property, because they don't have access to sewer. So they
Right.
have subsurface septic systems, privately owned, and this would definitely enhance their properties, and it would give them the ability to further expand their properties to maybe a larger building or something along those ways, or a different type of use for the property. So they would definitely benefit from it, and I can't begin to tell you over the 10 years that I've been here how many of those property owners have come to me and, requesting, is there any chance that the town of Carmel, or is there a possibility that the sewer main could be run down west on Route 6 from Wallauer? And the answer always was, well, I currently no, because New York City, who owns the treatment plant across the street here, is not allowing any additional sewage flow or any additional, capacity to that plant. So,
Right.
this would allow that.
Right, and I think, Kenny, as you well know, about a year ago, both you and I were approached by Legislator LeBeau from the county legislature with regard to Society Hill. In our capacity, both your capacity and my capacity, sitting on the East of Hudson Corporation Board. And at that time, we were unable to, work with Society Hill in order to address some of the needs that they have with regard to their, sewer treatment plant. And this possibility opens the door, and I've met with the DEP, and I know you've had various conversations with the DEP as well, with regard to utilizing this line to help some of the problems at Society Hill as well. So, not only does it open up the commercial corridor, but in good partnership with the DEP, whom we work with very closely on so many different fronts, enables us to help solve one of the problems that they're trying to deal with at Society Hill.
Society Hill, I believe there's maybe one or two other smaller
Yes.
privately
Yep.
run sewage treatment plants.
Right.
I believe Mayapack Village Center, where AMP was, where Acme is now, they have a privately owned sewer treatment plant there
That's
as well.
correct.
The diner's hooked up to that, and I think there might be one other smaller one that could potentially, be part of this.
That's correct. Yep.
So
And DEP hasn't, they've actually sent a letter with regard to their desire to deal with Society Hill, and have mentioned that there are two other plants privately owned that may very well be, able to be picked up by this, which, only, we obviously work together on so many different fronts, both the town of Carmel, the county, and the DEP, to try to resolve some of the environmental issues, that this is really an opportunity for us to partner, solve and provide the opportunity for commercial growth, and solve some of the DEP's problems simultaneously. So that's, all of these things get wrapped in and into a very, comprehensive plan that meets the needs and the regulations of the DEP.
And Bruce, the facility study that's going to be undertaken, that's going to consider all the properties along the Route 6 corridor, including those private sewage treatment plants?
Well, yes, they will, in short. I think, one of the things we've yet to do, which I think is part of what the resolution that we're talking about from this board is putting together a team of people that will, in fact, define what the scope of that study is. And so my expectation would be that your board, the participants that you guys choose, would help define exactly what that is. And we'll look for DEP participation as well in defining what that is, so that we can meet the needs of their, the private sewer treatment plants that they have, in order that, we meet the commercial corridor needs, and we meet the DEP needs, and more importantly, and most importantly, we meet the taxpayer needs of the county and the town of Carmel.
Okay, all right. So the county, the town, you mentioned the DEP.
Sure.
Those are really the municipalities that are going to be driving this. So we're going to work collaboratively together to work, come up with, a vision of what we're looking to do with this particular project, and then, we'll put all that data together, input from all those agencies, and then we'll go forward with the study then at that point?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that team of people, and whatever agencies between the town of Carmel, Putnam, and DEP we decide, or whatever other partners make sense to bring into the fold for the discussion, we can define the study from that, and then once we've identified all of the things necessary to move forward with further engineering, then we can do so, but it's absolutely meant to be, a partnership with all of the parties that are involved.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
That was, and we spoke earlier, that was a concern. I just want to make sure that the town board, the engineering department is involved in it.
Absolutely. I've talked to Rich several times on this.
Yeah, and, just, I guess we just have to finalize where it's going to start and end.
Sure.
Also.
No, and those are all part of this study, right? Where does it tie in? Where does it end? What's the district? What's it comprised of the district? Those are all the things that would be done. And listen, I mean, the expertise here is obviously within the town of Carmel. We're willing, to fund it because we think it's so important. And it's something, Kenny and I have talked about this numerous times. There's a lot of businesses there that have the opportunity for growth. The fact that the DEP's got some problems that they're trying to solve simultaneously is just, a simultaneous benefit from the project. And once we can define it and put a box on it, then we can move forward. Notwithstanding that, we've already applied for grant money for it in anticipation that, in the next 6 months, we'll be able to define the study and get the information. And then once we have that, then we'll, obviously the town of Carmel will likely be the lead. I'll have to be the lead on it because it's going to be the district set up by the town. And, we'll support in any way we can.
And the feasibility study, Bruce, will also incur the costs, like the kind of the cost?
It'll identify the costs, right? So one of the things that'll happen through the facility study is that, you'll start defining some of what actually needs to be involved. How many pump stations, not take into account some of the elevation changes. All of those things will be incorporated in that at a higher level.
Okay.
Now, they won't be vetted out completely until such time as we do the engineering study. This is the first step. So once we do this, we've got to define it, we've got to agree on it, make sure we've incorporated and thought about all the things necessary, get that back, step back, pull that same team together, and then decide how we're going to, engineer it forward.
So is it too early to talk about the schedule of payment? I guess it would go from the state to the county to the town.
Well, for this feasibility study, or
Well,
for
the
this facility
feasibility study, I
study?
know you guys are paying for.
Right, the facility
but-
study we're paying for.
Right. Is it, I'm talking for the capital costs, it's too early, right? A little too early? Okay.
Well, the capital, the CFA, we applied for, again, it was $1.6 million. We applied for that, and that would go towards some of the engineering and construction costs. And depending what the cost of the actual project would be, that's just a portion of it.
Okay, so once we get the feasibility study back, then we'll have a better outlook of what it's going to cost, and then
Right.
hopefully the pay schedule from the state to the county to the town.
Well, it doesn't have to come from the state necessarily, right? So once we've defined through the facilities study what the cost is, we'll do the engineering study. That'll give us, better understanding of what the total cost is for the project. And then from there, we can decide, excuse me, exactly, how it's funded. Whether it's, part town, county, if we can get money from the state, that's fine as well.
Oh, all right, I thought, okay, I thought we were going to get money from the state for it. I was
Well,
under-
if we do, that's great, and we'll continue to apply, and that's why we applied for the CFA. I
Okay.
think that once we've done the facility study and the engineering study, then we, basically get to make a business decision with regard to how it's funded. And until we have those two studies done, we won't have an accurate cost as to the,
Right.
to the
Okay.
cost of the study, the cost of the full project.
Okay.
Jonathan? Frank, you have any questions?
Yeah, no, I just want to say I appreciated the fact that we were invited to come to the meeting at the county building a couple of weeks ago. Thank you for your presentation. And one of the things that struck me is that the willingness of the county to work in conjunction with the town government to facilitate the project, facilitate the study, to see what the actual needs are. So I do appreciate that fact.
Great, thank you, Frank. I appreciate you coming over that night. It was helpful.
Jonathan? Did you have any questions for Bruce? On this?
No, I think I remember seeing somewhere that the expected cost on the CFA application was like 8 million, right?
That's correct.
So whatever the difference is, if it's 7 million, Town of Carmel, whoever that district is in that, it's going to be split up amongst the district, unless we do additional funding applications
Well,
for more grants.
not necessarily. So, you know, in addition to the $50,000 that we allocated to do the facility study, we've also allocated $25,000 to work with law firms to determine what the best way to actually set up the district is. And once we've actually, you know, gone through the facility study, we've gone through the legal study, then we can determine, you know, what the best way to fund it is. I can speak for the county executive's office, which is we are willing to participate very significantly in the funding of the project through bonding. We'll have to work through the legal details of how you do that, because we can't bond for things that we don't own. However, there's legal mechanisms. As Frank, you're a lawyer, you know. There's ways to define how we do that. And we are, from the county executive office, willing to do that. The legislature obviously would have to approve that. But, you know, I think everybody I've spoken with on the legislature, particularly those whose districts, you know, touch it or are in this district, they recognize what the value of being able to utilize that corridor to its highest capability, as Kenny noted, what value it does add, whether it's through jobs, tax revenue, or just being able to utilize the property as effectively as we can. Those things will all come into play through this analysis.
And then I think just one thing I just think is extremely important. I noticed in a lot of the articles that have been written and in the application, I definitely understand why the application was written the way that it was, specific to the area of coverage, because it needs that one specific type of industry. But my concern is that when we're doing this application, I see this as kind of the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, where we have the possibility of connecting the present sewer treatment plant that we have, which ends right at Wall Hours and Bucks Hollow, all the way down to our town line. And I'd be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity now, before we go into any scope of work, to not make that, I think, a very important point for us to look at making a clean connection where there is no break in sewer coverage along the main corridor, at least in the Hamlet of Carmel, and eventually we're going to try to work to make it across, I think, every thoroughfare that we have. But I think, I can't remember the last time I saw an opportunity that the town may have to work with the county, with the state facilities, to try to make a deal happen where we're going to be able to expand what we have for our commercial district. So I think we should do everything that we can to encapsulate every part that's not covered right now. I just know that from what I saw, it looks like it's just coming off of
Union Valley.
Union Valley. It's a
Valley,
right-hand
right.
turn only. And I feel like, especially talking about the plant that's down there that may have extra capacity, in the scope, I feel like we should shoot for the stars, but as well, we may be able to kind of step it in there. And if I'm not on the panel, which I would love to be able to participate on, I think it would be a very important part for us to look at. Maybe would be path of least resistance, as well as here's the cake and the icing and everything that you guys may want. Because I don't know if there will be another opportunity for the town of Carmel to.
And those are all the things that, as the town defines what gets included in the facility study, that's one of them. And, you know, quite honestly, Jonathan, one of the things that becomes clear is you got to get down to Society Hill at some point. And how you do that is, you know, not particularly clear at the moment, whether it's, you know, through some type of right-of-way or whether it's down Route 6. Those are things that DEP, you know, was taking a look at.
Good. Thank you.
It's where our
Not if you
plan
don't.
ends, and then go forward. to the
Just
whole
to,
corridor is-
whatever you do in terms of either extension of existing districts, that's sewer 1 and sewer 7, there's a telescoping process of state controller approval that you'll need to go through, presuming that the facility study and the feasibility study yields the results that you're going to go forward in some capacity with it. So that does require state controller approval to get those districts extended, or the creation of a new one if that was necessarily the case. Just so you know, that particular process can be fairly.
Full Article 5 proceeding.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But
So-
you
and
can
that's part of the
telescope
legal
that
work.
with respect to your with respect to the other aspects of the plan once if you decide to go forward with it. All right.
Bruce, that would be part of the legal cost that is going to be incurred with the county, correct?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of what what we've allocated money for. With regard to that, obviously, the town would dictate, how we do that. And whatever, rules we've got to follow, we would. But it was just, again, just another component of how do we continue to move this forward and try to avail ourselves of any funding mechanism as we proceed. And we just need to have more information. I think, Kenny, you've done a great job in bringing this forward and through many discussions. I know when we met with Senator Murphy, but we're at the point where we need to do more work, more due diligence to get the information necessary in order to progress the work. And that's why we're proposing to, put the money on the table, if you will, to continue forward.
Okay, great. Does anybody else have anything? Frank, anything further?
No?
Yeah, I'll just add that conceptually, looking at this on the surface, it's a great idea. That corridor of Route 6 needs septic. I love the idea that the county and other agencies are thinking out of the box, since the DEP is putting restrictions on, so it is nice. The devil's in the detail, and we don't have the detail yet, and that's what the studies is going to bring forward. So I'm optimistic, but at the same time, I would tell the public to be, patiently cautious, but optimistic, because it's a great concept. The only negative thing that I would say is, and it's not somewhat negative, is that it's sad that we had to think out of the box and that the DEP is restricting us and forcing us to be creative like this. And when I say us, really the county and other agencies, I have to give them credit for it. But at the same time, I feel that this town board, over time, might not have done enough to fight the DEP or to approach it. Just keep asking is not enough. So I'm a little saddened that we had to be creative, but at the same time, I'm happy that other the county and outside agencies have gotten creative with this plan to go into Westchester to a private sewer treatment plant. The only other thing I'll add is that municipalities should control the district, as Mr. Walker mentioned before, and we really have to watch the cost, because it's going to be a very big project. The one thing that we really have to watch is the cost of the sewer. We don't want to get involved with that there's such a major disparity between the sewer districts. Obviously, there's going to be, but I think we just have to be careful and cognizant of that. And we always have to just keep negotiating and working to bring the costs down. But again, the devil's in the detail, and until we have the detail, we won't know which way to go. So, but again, I thank everyone involved, and I applaud the creativity. I wish we didn't have to be so creative, but you know what? It's a study. No harm, no foul. Let's go forward, and let's just keep pushing this along. So that's all I have.
And Bruce, I know we spoke earlier, but just so the residents can hear the timeline for a feasibility study, just so they kind of know.
Right, so we believe this facility study will take about 6 months.
Okay, perfect.
Who's drawing out the
We're
town?
you're going to use Insight Engineering.
And the town will have a large say in that
Oh,
study?
absolutely. No, what we're going to do is sit down with the members of the town board, all the town board, whoever you choose to sit at the task force level, and define what the scope of the the facility study is, and then we'll move forward.
Perfect.
Perfect, thank you. And thanks for coming
Yeah, thanks for your
tonight.
time.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce. I appreciate you being here, and I look forward to a partnership between the town and the county to,
Absolutely.
to move this forward. All right, it's great. I think it's going to be a huge benefit to those property owners, and it's something that we should look forward to. So hopefully it does come to fruition. I think it will if we all
I think it
work.
will too.
Yeah, we'd love it
a
too,
great
and I know the
project.
county would as well, so, great. All right, so,
All right, thank you.
appreciate you being here. Great.
Thank you.
Have a good night, Bruce. Thanks. Okay, next is, give me 1 second.
Thank you.
Take care, Bruce. Have a good night. Okay, number 2 on the agenda, Mike Simone, Carmel Highway Superintendent, this is to consider request to authorize services from Highway Rehab Corporation. And there's a memo here from Mike Simone. request to purchase the services or utilize the services of Highway Rehabilitation Corporation. I am requesting authorization to hire Highway Rehab to perform in-place recycling of selected town roads per the attached Putnam County contract, and the number is RFB as in boy, -54-15, and the contract period is 12/1/16 to 11/30/17. And he just has a note here, this contract period is extended. See Town Board Resolution 5416 for contract period 12/1/15 to 11/30/16. So the highway superintendent is looking to move forward with what's called hot in-place recycling, heater scarification of existing asphalt pavement. And there's town roads that the highway superintendent would like to rehab, and in order for him to go ahead and do that, he needs town board authorization by resolution to enter into the agreement with Highway Rehab for their services. So any questions, comments from the board with respect to the highway rehab?
And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not an engineer, but if anyone was driving on Croton Falls
Yes.
Road, although that's not a town road, it's a county road, they were doing that, where you saw like
Yeah.
3 tractor trailers back to back, flames shooting out, grinding up the top level, and almost like making its own asphalt plant on wheels. Very interesting, very hot as I drove by, but.
Baldwin Place last week, too.
And Baldwin Place, there's a couple county roads that have had that happen, so this is an opportunity to extend it to the town roads, that we've already done it to some town roads, so.
Yeah. No, and,
It's a renewal, yeah. It's a
yeah,
renewal.
we're actually piggybacking on the county's
the county,
contract.
yep,
The
yep.
county contract for these services, which by law the town, municipalities can, and the town is. And just item number 1, less than 20,000 square yards with roller and operator, it's $5.79 is the bid price. Item 2, more than 20,000 square yards with roller and operator, $4.79. So, any further questions or comments regarding this item? Jonathan? Anything, Frank? Susie?
No.
Good, John? Okay.
Oh, good, thank you.
All right. Okay, next item on the agenda, number 3, Police Chief Mike Kazari couldn't be with us here this evening because his daughter was receiving a scholarship from the Chamber of Commerce.
Might have been his son.
That he, was it the son?
Son.
The son, his son, sorry, his son. So he has a memo here from the chief. This is requesting an educational stipend for Police Officer Aaron Mokum. I'm requesting approval of $900 of an educational stipend as followed by the PBA, as allowed by the PBA contract for Police Officer Aaron Mokum. P.O. Makem has earned a master's degree in forensic psychology from John Jay College in New York City and will reach her 1-year anniversary on July 28th of 2017. So per the PBA contract, our police officers are entitled to some form of tuition reimbursement. And in this case, it's for a master's degree, and the reimbursement amount is $900. This is something that we do
Per the contract.
yeah, per the contract, per the PBA contract. So this is something per the contract they're entitled to. We just have to authorize it by resolution upon the chief submitting this request from the board. So any questions, comments from the board regarding Police Officer Makem's?
No, except congratulations on terrific grades. Did you see her
Yeah, I
transcript?
saw the grades, yeah. Yeah, really, really good grades.
Your dean's list.
Made the dean's list.
Yep.
Yeah, she did very well. So congratulations to Erin, and keep up the good work and further in your education. And this is certainly something that you could say qualifies forensic psychology for law enforcement, so that's good. Any further questions regarding this item? No? Okay, next, number 4, we have Michelle Tenafrancia. She's a senior account clerk in the Comptroller's office, and Michelle is filling in for Mary Ann Maxwell this evening, our town comptroller, and she's going to be going over the budget revisions for June 2017, and this is number 4. Michelle, welcome.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Um,
Whenever you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Again, I'm here to present you with the budget revisions for the period ending June 2017. Budget revision number 1 is to transfer $5,000 for a health insurance buyout in the town clerk's office.
4 years old.
Budget revision number 2 will transfer $3,225 from the town reserve compensation for a staff promotion salary expense in the engineering office. Budget revision number 3 will transfer $7,750 for highway garage contractual expenses, and this is within the general fund. Budget revision number 4 provides for the retirement payout of accrued time for 2 highway employees. $40,828 will be taken from the fund balance for compensated absences, and this is in the highway fund. Budget revision number 5 is to provide for the payment of a prior year purchase as authorized by resolution. This revision will take $10,171 from the appropriated fund balance in the highway fund. Budget revision number 6 is to transfer $200 within the Carmel Fire Protection District number 1 fund to cover the cost to pay poll workers for the LoSAP election. Budget revision number 7, and this is a $3,000 transfer in Lake Cassie Park District for the purchase of air conditioning units in the clubhouse, and the total amount of this purchase was authorized by a resolution. Budget revision number 8 will transfer $6,000 from the repair reserve line in the Lake Mayapack Park District for the purchase of carp per authorizing resolution. Budget revision number 10, this entry will record 2017 capital authorization of $200,000 for the capital project for drainage. And budget revision number 12 will record the 2017 capital authorization of $750,000 for the highway resurfacing capital project. Budget revisions number 11, 13, and 14 will transfer to close the capital projects for technology, highway special improvements, and Carmel Water District number 8 capital funds respectively. And that's it. Any questions?
Okay, great. Thanks, Michelle.
Any questions?
Board, any questions for Michelle regarding the budget revisions?
All good? Okay.
Okay, great. Thanks, Michelle.
Have a good night.
All right, you too.
Trunk, okay?
She already got one. Wanna give her another?
Budget revisions ever.
Good night. Thanks, Michelle. All right, so next on the agenda, number 5, James Gilchrist, Director of Recreation and Parks, update on SAM grants for the conversion of tennis courts to basketball courts at Sycamore Park for $100,000 and airport park improvements for $250,000. Councilman Lupinacci is going to cover this one for James Gilchrist this evening, as his daughter, I think I have it right, Frank?
Yes, you do.
His daughter is also attending the Chamber of Commerce function this evening to receive a scholarship from them for college. So, John, you want to take this away? You want to cover this one?
Sure. This is 2 projects that are ongoing on the Parks and Rec side. We have the tennis courts and basketball courts at Sycamore Park. We've gotten a $100,000 grant. The project right now is going to cost $130,000. So the town is looking and will commit to funding the $30,000. We're looking for another grant or do some reclasses amongst grants, other grants that we have based on recreation and parks for that $30,000. If we cannot obtain those grants or reclass some of those grant usage, we will find a budget line to finish the tennis courts and basketball courts at Sycamore Park. The second grant is the airport park improvement. We're looking, and we've mentioned this in the past, we're looking to do, and there's been articles written on this, we're looking to do 6 open fields park. They could be used anything for open field, for soccer, lacrosse, any type of sport that is an open field sport. The overall Phase 1 cost is about $600,000. The Senator Murphy has commissioned a $250,000 grant, and the town, in order to get that grant, the town has to commit to finding the funding for the remaining amount. So this here, next week, we'll do a resolution authorizing Mary Ann Maxwell to write a letter to DASD that basically says that the town will cover the remaining cost. And again, that is for Phase 1. There's other funding. Right now, we don't have to come up with where we're going to fund the money, just that the town is committed to cover the costs of the overall cost of the project minus the grant. The town has to commit to spending that money. So this is, that park is a ways down the road, hopefully, say, a year, 2 years. But this is the initial get up and go regarding the funding and such. So that is really it in a nutshell. It's really just to talk about the grants that we have for Parks and Recs, and that the town needs to commit and find the remaining money if other grants don't come in. And that's really it in a nutshell. Any questions? Fire away.
Anybody have any questions, Jonathan? On John's report?
So John, maybe you could clarify, I mean, your nutshell's pretty quick and simple, but I'm gonna make it as simple as I possibly can.
Authorize.
2 projects totaling cost of $750,000, most out-of-pocket for Town of Carmel is $400,000.
That's a nice summary of the nutshell, yes. And that's if we can't find money
If we can't find
elsewhere.
it anywhere else,
The
worst case.
worst-case scenario for about $400,000, we can have
2 of our
tennis
parks
courts,
greatly improved.
basketball courts refinished and brand-new for the public, and we could have Phase 1 that will add 6 open field park to.
A lot of cut and fill and grading in there, it looked like.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think they're both
Yeah,
great
based on-
projects.
And again, that is based on estimated costs, but, you know, we're pretty good at building parks with Camarada and Boulder Meadow, so hopefully we have this underway.
Pretty close on those estimates.
Yeah. John, how
Thank
many,
you.
how many basketball courts are being proposed?
I believe they're actually being refurbished.
Two
So
being
two and two. Two tennis courts, 2 basketball courts at Sycamore Park, correct? That's what the bids we're going out for, 2 and 2.
2 and 2?
Two
Two
basketball.
basketball,
yes.
2 tennis. Okay, all right.
Correct, yeah.
I want to see on the application that you're committing the non-grant funding. to
And
the
that's what
estimated
the
project
resolution is for Mary Ann to write the letter, which in essence commits the town to the money.
Okay,
Correct.
okay. And I'll reference the budget schedules for each of the grants, so we know which numbers they're tied to in the resolution. Okay.
Perfect.
All right, thanks. Any further questions on this item? All right, there being none, we're going to go on to the next agenda item, that's number 6. Our engineer, Rich Franzetti, is here to consider a request to accept a proposal for oil spill remediation. This is for Carmel Sewer District Number 2, Putnam Plaza Pump Station. Rich?
Good evening. Our operators, STES, identified existing fill pipes above grade at the reference pump station, which is Carmel Sewer District 2, Putnam Plaza. We investigated and determined that the pipes were part of an existing underground storage tank. The tank once serviced the on-site generator at the facility and was removed from service during the 1997 Carmel Sewer District 2 upgrade. However, the tank was never removed. During our inspection, we identified the existence of petroleum product in the tank. We engaged Dutchess Environmental to perform the removal of the underground storage tank. During the tank removal, Dutchess identified petroleum product in the tank, the surrounding soil, and adjacent groundwater. In accordance with New York State DEC regulations, Dutchess contacted New York State DEC and a spill number was generated. In an effort to quantify the contamination, the department engaged Dutchess to perform a limited site assessment. The objective was to establish within reason estimated quantities of the contaminated soil and groundwater. The report from DT Consulting is attached to this memo, and based on the report, we requested a proposal from Dutchess to perform remediation in accordance with the report. The proposal attached is estimated at a cost of $18,946. The nature of this work and the level of sophistication and the requirements of the New York State DEC license to perform this work, we characterize it as a professional service, therefore exempt from bidding requirements. Remediation is required in accordance with state regulations, and we recommend that the project be awarded to Dutchess Environmental. We did check with the controller, and there are sufficient funds in the Carmel Sewer District to fund to do the work.
Okay, great, Rich, thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns for the town engineer regarding this item? The oil spill remediation, Putnam Plaza? Nope, there being none. Great, thanks,
Thank you.
Rich.
I'll be back at the planning board if you need me.
All right, thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda, and this is the final item, number 7, Robert Erickson, he's our Deputy Highway Superintendent. He has sent a memo to the town board requesting to consider sick time compensation buyout or cash out of a certain amount of sick days that he has accumulated in his time bank. I'm just going to read the memo to the board. Dear Supervisor Schmidt and board members, I am requesting that the town board authorize compensation for a portion of my unused sick time at the rate specified in the employee handbook of 60% for sick time cash out. I would like to use 70 sick leave days in the first payroll in August at my per diem rate of pay. Thank you for any consideration. Sincerely, Robert Erickson. And per the employee handbook, it's based on the percentage of how much that you could cash out. The percentage you'd be entitled to of cashing out is based on years of service per the employee handbook. Since Bobby Erickson has 17 years of service with the town as Deputy Highway Superintendent, he would be entitled to 60% of the amount of days that he's requesting. So he's requesting 70 days, so 60% of 70 days is 42 days. So he's looking to be paid for 42 days, and at his daily rate of pay, which is $387.93, is a total that he would be cashing out would be $27,155.17. That would be for the full 70 days, but the 60% of that number is $16,293.10 is what the actual cash amount of value would be of 42 days at Bobby's daily rate of pay. So I have no problem with this because he's actually cashing out days now as opposed to when he retires. So he's being paid at today's daily rate of pay as opposed to whenever he retires. His daily rate of pay is going to increase over the years. So cashing them out now actually does save the town some money. But we have this money budgeted. It's in the compensated absences budget line in the town budget. We budget for this in the event that employees either retire.
It's accrued for.
It's accrued for in the budget. So this money's in the budget. It's not monies that we're going to have to take from the general fund for this. It's dedicated in the budget, and as John mentioned, accrued in the budget. So I don't have a problem with this. Me personally, town board, do you want to weigh in on this?
We do it for the chief, and Mr. Erickson has requested it, so it's fine.
Okay. All right, board, we're okay with this? Good. Susie, good with this? Okay. All right, good. So we'll have a resolution then for, is it the 9th, John? 9th, okay. For August 9th, there'll be a resolution for this. All right, so that completes the agenda items for this evening's town board work session. At this time, I'm going to open up the floor to any members of the public that would like to come up to speak to the board or address the board on any of the agenda items that we covered this evening. Mike?
Hi, how are you? Mike Borelli. Regarding number one, I am really thrilled that this board is working so hard with the county to get this done, because I want to tell you a quick story about 12 years ago, 13 years ago, when none of yous were here. On the other side of Route 6, I came into the town board and says, we want to put a sewer line down. And the town board told me, go get everybody's signature up and down the road to form a district, come back to us, and we'll tell you what to do. My late partner, myself, and my current partner did that. It took about 5 years to get that sewer line through, and it was an uphill fight all the way. So I'm thrilled that the county is giving money to it. We paid for it ourselves. I'm thrilled that they're trying to get grants to bring the cost down, because I'll be in that district. So it would help me too. But just the fact that the county's funding this and they're looking to help Society Hill so much, I just think it's really, really good. But I want to point out that this isn't just on Route 6. This is the state line and Route 6 corridor project, so that's two of them. And if I may ask a question, who's the largest landowner in those two corridors that would benefit from this? You have to know.
You're talking about down the end near Baldwin Place, and then the other one that.
I'm talking about
Southeast.
the state line and Route 6
State.
corridor.
State lines over in.
I know where it is.
Yeah, I'm just, no, for the public, that's over in southeast, that is gonna go towards.
It's another town,
Danbury.
but you should know
No, it,
who it would help over there.
yeah, same owner as the property owner down in Baldwin Place, Union Place.
Right. So, I really appreciate you trying to help out the small business owners on Route 6, but I just find it incredible that with all the mentions of Society Hill, nobody mentioned Paul Camarda, who would be the greatest benefactor from both of these two sewer lines. So it's just something I thought I should point out. Just remarkable, nobody mentions it. It would also help Villa Barone get a hotel built. And if Villa Barone tells you they're going to build a hotel and bring it to the town,
They're gonna do it.
they're going to do it,
They'll do it, yeah.
not like other people.
Right.
On number 5, the SAM grants, my question was answered by, I think, Mr. Lupinacci and Ms. McDonough. The grants came through Senator Murphy's office?
Yes.
He applied for them and got them all? We hired a grant facilitator.
Grant writer,
Grant writer.
Victor Cornelius.
What has he brought in this year? Has he brought any grants in?
He brought in a zombie
Zombie
house.
home remediation grant. It was a $100,000 grant for the remediation of zombie homes, abandoned homes, foreclosed homes that,
But it has some.
Which is
criteria.
out, which was out to the public for the last 7, 8 years. I told you in executive session that 7 to 8 years ago, that the state has money and the banks are required to maintain their homes. So you didn't need a grant writer for that. I told you that in executive, in your office 7 years ago.
Well, we may not even
We-
use that grant
There's-
because
It
there's,
Well, I know, but I'm just saying,
Criteria.
we hired a grant writer to get us a grant that the whole world knows about, and I told you about.
We didn't hire him for that, believe me. That wasn't
Okay.
on my list.
And we're paying how much?
6,000 a quarter.
and last week executive session, we had him into executive
Okay,
session.
on
to
the,
discuss contracts.
On the next one, on number 6, I'm confused by this, because this was the sewer district that I got pushed through with no cost to the taxpayers. We paid for it ourselves. And if I remember correctly, the pump station for the, where Key Food used to be,
It's by,
wasn't that their old pump station? Where we're doing the $18,900 remedial.
No,
Are you
this is
thinking about
Putt
Lake
Plaza.
Plaza?
Yeah,
This is
This is
Putnam
Putnam
Plaza.
Plaza.
this is Putnam Plaza.
Yeah.
Right.
Up in Carmel.
That's Hamlet of
It's
Carmel.
where the bowling lane
It's
is.
Wendy's,
too.
it's by Wendy's.
My mistake, I apologize.
The
But
bowling
why
lane,
is
right?
why is that bid not biddable? Why is it,
Emergency repair.
Two things. First, it's not, the threshold for services is $18,000, which is below the $35,000 threshold. But also because it's a petroleum cleanup, the engineers determined it's professional services, which is be exempt if it was over the threshold in any event. But $35,000 is
seems to be a lot of money for the district to be picking up without being put out to bid, especially since I specifically know the people in this business and the differences in the prices. But there's a lot of things that fall under the emergency threshold with towns and communities. Can I ask the question for open forum, because no one else is here? And I
Sure.
don't have to sit down
Yeah.
and get up, I have a bad leg.
Yeah, you can, yes.
All right. I asked this question 3 times, and I understand you have an answer for me tonight. On the Vista Terrace Water District, up behind Westlake, there's a $800,000 cost for replacing the pipes. And you have surveying at 3%, design at 8%, and you have permitting, Department of Health, DEC, and DH&F at 5% at $35,000. And I says, what permits do we need for $35,000? Because I said there are no permits necessary to the town that should cost the town that kind of money. Now, I know what the answer is, but I want one of you to tell me.
Sure, I'll tell you, Mike, because I actually did some research on this, and I actually used I went to the engineer, and I met with the engineer, and I posed this question to him in anticipation that you were going to ask again this evening. So I do have an answer. If I can just read off what I have here. The $35,000 in permitting costs. There are no fees associated with the permitting. The costs are for the development and the submittal of permit plans and specifications to the identified regulatory agencies and the issuance of regulatory approval/work permits for the following: Putnam County Department of Health, temporary and final water supply plans and specifications for review and approval. This includes pressure and water quality testing. Putnam County Department of Highway and Facilities, maintenance and protection of traffic plans and specification for temporary and final pavement, construction, phasing, and sequencing. And then the last bullet is New York State Department of Environmental Conservation stormwater pollution prevention plan, which included pre-existing conditions, post-construction conditions, erosion and sediment control plans, and construction phasing and sequencing. And that's it. That's what is covered under that $35,000 cost.
So what you're telling me is we're paying $35,000 to do the paperwork to get it approved, that there are no fees. So you're telling me we're paying $35,000 to do the paperwork to an outside engineer, $55,000 for a design to an outside engineer, which totals almost $90,000, plus another $20,000 to surveying, so total charge is over $110,000 for this one project, and we have several of these going on that you bonded a couple $1 million for. So we have over $100,000 on this one project, which I believe exceeds the annual salary of our in-house engineer. Am I right or am I wrong?
Right.
I'm right.
About that, yeah.
Yep.
Why do we have an in-house engineer? I've said it over and over, that I like the fact of getting outside engineering services. But you have an outside engineer doing the inspection, which I told you Rob Vara has done before and is capable of doing, and I think he addressed that in a memo to the board. Explain to me why our engineering department
That's what he's talking about.
all of a sudden has a budget of several million bucks. I think the people of Vista Terrace would like to know that answer. Why are they paying for an engineer department if we're paying an outside engineer to do the job?
I think our engineering department puts work in also with.
Excuse me?
I said, I believe that our engineering department also contributes to the work.
I'm glad they
that goes-
contribute. It
that-
costs us enough
That
money.
goes into these. So I don't think
Really
it's fair
glad
to
that the
say
engineering
that the
department
outside.
contributes to things in the town.
Right, but I don't think it's fair, Mike, to say that the outside engineer is doing all of the work and the inside engineer is not. I don't think that that's a fair statement, if
I'm
that's what
looking
you
at a
said.
bill,
No,
Sue.
I'm just saying in general.
I'm looking at a bill.
In general.
For $35,000 to do
I don't-
paperwork that
I
Rob
don't
Barra
have-
is capable of doing. And I'm looking at a bill for $55,000 that you're billing the taxpayers for that Rob Barra is capable of doing.
Right.
That's $100,000.
Mike, up in that office, as you know, there's Rich, Donna, Rob, and I believe that there's not anymore.
Well, according to
Oh, he
Mr.
left.
Franzetti, our engineering
So-
department grew
Wait.
at the last meeting.
So if you take Rob away to do a bunch of stuff, you have nobody in the office. Me personally, I think that you may need more people in there because there's a huge demand for the engineering, okay, no matter how we
Ms.
slice it.
McDonough,
But
if you believe that, more power to you. I've been in this business my entire adult life. I've watched this engineering department for the last 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen several engineers come and go. I know what they're capable of. I know what this man is capable of. He's capable of a lot more than you give him credit for, or you pay him for, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All I'm saying is we're wasting a lot of money. and it's one of the platforms I'm running on. It's not a political speech, it's a factual speech. I knew the answer to that question. I've done this. I've put water lines in. I've put sewer lines in. You're wasting $100,000 of that district's money. Case closed. End of discussion. Prove me wrong. Thank you.
The costs are part of the overall cost. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be fully costed out.
We went through that last time. I'm not counting the water main at $404,000. That's a bid price. It comes in lower. I understand your fact of bidding in high, so you don't have to go back to get more money. Okay? I understand the rock excavation. You have $97,000 in there. You might only hit $20,000 in rock. I would hope that the bond comes down and the people don't pay for it and it's not kept somewhere.
Correct.
The temporary water service, I think, is a little high at $30,000. The maintenance and protection of traffic for $50,000 is obscene. The contingency of 20% of $116,000 is a standard number. The survey is a little high. Your design cost, I'm not going to get into here, okay? Because we have somebody totally capable in-house of doing it. And permitting $35,000, insulting.
Who's capable of doing it
Okay.
in-house?
Thanks, Mike.
Doing it in-house.
He's saying Rob.
Okay, I don't think there's anyone else here for open forum, new business, right? No? Okay. All right.
That's what you need, yeah, you need to correct. No.
No, Mr. Borelli, could I just ask could I just ask one question? Who on the inside is capable of doing the design work?
Your town engineer, he's a PE.
Okay, gotcha. No, I just didn't know whom.
You
Yes,
pay him as a professional engineer, don't you?
correct.
We're replacing water lines.
No,
When it's not sending somebody to the moon.
not arguing, just I wanted to understand who, because you mentioned Rob Vara many times, so I just wanted to understand.
You want to know something?
Which-
Rob Vara can design it for you,
He can't stamp it, though.
but
so
he
it would
can't
cost
stamp the
us.
permit,
Yeah, it would cost.
but he's capable.
Yeah. And sadly, we don't have the software system, because it was one of
You
the
don't
things that
need
I
it.
thought.
You're replacing existing water main.
Okay, thanks, Mike. All right, since there's no other additional open forum questions this evening or comments, we're going to go to the town board. Jonathan, do you have any announcements? Frank, do you have any? Susie, any announcements?
Just that were you going to mention the 4-H fair is going to be this
No,
weekend?
can you mention that?
The 4-H fair is going to be
No,
this
I
weekend.
have the concert
Yeah.
4-H
I
fair?
believe it starts
Friday.
on Friday.
at 11 a.m.
Yeah, and then you guys can go there, and I know it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then it continues. But I'm sure you can go on their website to find out.
Okay. All right.
Oh, and I'm sorry, Frank, did you mention we were up earlier beforehand?
go ahead.
Frank and myself was up at the Spain Cornerstone Park with the Chamber of Commerce scholarship award winners. So I wanted to say congratulations to everyone. There was 8 students going on to college that got the scholarships. So that was really nice for the parents and the students.
Are they all from Mahopac or Carmel?
Mapac and Carmel, yep.
They all are. Okay.
Yep.
All right, great.
Oh,
Good,
and
congratulations.
I know I probably shouldn't, but happy birthday, Mr. Beeger.
You stole my
Sorry.
line.
Oh, well, he asked you if you wanted to say something, you
Yeah.
didn't.
Well, no, I went to you and then I was
Oh,
going to go
sorry.
down.
Go ahead, John.
Happy birthday, Kurt.
No, that's fine. We already did it. Nice shout out to Mr. Beeger.
Yeah. Okay, so the Sunset Concert Series at the Town of Carmel Recreation and Parks Department at Route 6 and Chamber Park this Thursday evening, July 27th. Tomorrow evening is the Charlie Lagone Band. It's a jazz and Latin collaboration band. So tomorrow evening, bring your chairs and blankets, family, neighbors, and come out. Hopefully the weather's going to be nice. I think it is. So tomorrow evening, July 27th, the Charlie Lagone Band, jazz and Latin collaboration. That's all I have for announcements. We do have one executive session item this evening. That's with Greg Fulchetti, our town attorney, is going to be bringing the board, giving the board an update on litigation that is ongoing. So I need a motion to go into executive
So
session.
moved.
So moved by Councilman Lombardi. Second by Councilman Lupinacci. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so we're going to be closing the meeting from executive session. We're not coming back out. And the next time we meet here publicly is on August 9th. August 9th at 7 PM. That would be for a town board voting meeting. We're not meeting next Wednesday. Okay? Good night, everyone. Be well. We'll see you on August 9th at 7 PM.